Is up, YouTube? Brendan from Market Makers, your home for Wyckoff and Advanced Fibonacci TA. Let's center the camera a little bit. All right, guys, I know it's super easy to be super bearish on Bitcoin. You guys know my overall thesis is this is a huge equity bubble, a bond bubble, a crypto bubble, a Three Sigma bubble. Watch Jeremy Grantham if you want to fully understand my thesis. You can see his interviews, accurately predicted '08 and .com and made over $1 billion shorting those markets. But listen, just because it's a bubble doesn't mean you can't have rises up. As you guys know, I keep hammering at home, but we get new subs all the time. 47 of the 50 biggest up days in the equities markets over the last 100 years were in a bear market. And the SPX is not in a bear market, nor is the Dow Jones. So looking at Bitcoin here on the weekly, this looks like crap, right? To be honest, this just looks bad. It looks bad. It's super easy to be bearish. But when there's blood in the streets is when you get big rallies. So we had a little bit of a dump yesterday. We're going to examine that. But guys, I want to turn you to the left. And always remember to check out my index and stock video that's going to come out after this. It's going to be a new series I'm doing to promote Simple FX as well, where you can trade those assets as well as Forex and commodities. Great exchange. And guys, I'm going to cover the stocks you requested, NVIDIA, Netflix, Tesla. And so just definitely check that out. We'll get more into it over there, but this ties into Bitcoin. So I'm going to talk about it here as well. So just be patient, because even if you're just 100% pure crypto, you need to understand this information. If we look over to the left of my screen, that is, this is the broader markets, guys. NASDAQ, representative of tech and growth. Do you see the structure it's holding here? Wyckoff accumulation broke out of Wyckoff accumulation. This is your LPS. It's trying to form a bullish structure, also called the Livermore pivot. Jesse Livermore, Richard Wyckoff, W.D. Gann, they were all friends, guys. The best traders in the world all knew each other. This is frequently called the Livermore pivot because this is a pullback from an upswing. And this is where Livermore made over $1 billion in the marketplace, was this particular position, okay? Boy plunger of Wall Street, came from nothing, most successful trader of all time. Wyckoff interviewed him, and this is Livermore's designated best place to trade. When you look at this, this is a bullish structure still. You have volatility here. This is what's happening with Bitcoin. You're getting volatility. This is going up and down. It's hitting key fibs like the 618, selling off. It's finding key support on the Wyckoff ceiling, on the Gann fan, pumping back up. You're going to be here until we see what happens Friday. Friday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. The new CPI print comes out. This is inflation read for the market. Now, keep in mind, this is the BS Fed CPI report. They changed it under Clinton, okay? When Clinton wasn't too busy sleeping with interns, they also managed to get the CPI change. If this was the same CPI from the 1980s, inflation would be 14 to 18% right now, depending which variables you plug in. But inflation under this rigged CPI is 8.3 last report, I believe, and they're looking for 8.2 on this report. Another small tick down. If you get that tick down, you could see these markets take off. You could see increased volatility. They could take off to a new resistance level, which is what they're preparing for. Now, keep in mind, conversely, if that inflation report comes up higher, these markets can dump, okay? This can easily fail, and you enter this trading range and come down to test new supports, which means the NASDAQ would make a new low as well. And it's not just the NASDAQ, guys. This is what Bitcoin tracks closest to. Look at the SPX. The SPX is doing the same exact thing. This is a daily time frame on the SPX. You have your selling climax candle. You have your automatic reaction. There's your Wyckoff accumulation range. You pumped up to an LPS. Your long-term moving averages are above you. My targets for the SPX. We're going to get into this more in my other video, okay? The stocks and indices and commodities video after this. Look at the Russell. The Russell's not even waiting. The Russell's like, I'm just going to go up. You have your trading range right here in the Russell, your Wyckoff accumulation. You broke out, but look what you did. You made a cut pattern. Even though you failed here, you got an up thrust, you made a cut pattern, and you sprung up, and you're trying to defeat your long-term moving averages already on the daily time frame. This is, which one is this? That's the 55. So your 200 and 233 are up further above you. The Russell wants to pump. It's pumping towards the 1 fib, which is my first target, 1952. The markets want to be bullish, guys. Human psychology wants to be bullish. These guys like Michael Saylor, the whales, the funds that own Bitcoin, they want to be bullish. Everybody likes to have asset appreciation when they own something, okay? So this is what I'm looking for in Bitcoin is we have the blood in the streets. I'm looking for the next move up. Here on the weekly time frame, you can see we can't hold the 382. The 31,185 we keep talking about now for over 2 weeks. We get above it, we fail. We get above it, we fail, right? But you're still, Bitcoin will follow these broader markets if they rally. Now, it's not a one-to-one relationship. They could rally to key resistance and Bitcoin may only come up to what? The 618 at 34,798, or you could see a vertical takeoff and Bitcoin goes to 40K or 50K, which again, primary fib structure, the one fib at 40,645, the 1618 at 50,104. How confident am I that these fibs will track accurately? Very confident because they've been tracking very accurately since we laid them out. You guys know we've gone over this many times on the channel. So if you can reach the one fib, that's going to be a heavy place for potential rejection. And if you can flip it, the 1618, obviously a clear heavy place for potential rejection. Also a psychological number of 50,000, right? And of course, if the markets roll, Bitcoin's just going to roll down and it's going to come down and test as 200 and 233 here on the weekly. And if you don't get a bounce there, Bitcoin's going to crater, okay? So your 200's the lower one, the 233 is on top. So this is a drop if these markets do roll. If that inflation number is manipulated as it is, comes in even hotter, guys, then, if it stays the same or comes in hotter, you could see these markets roll. You'd be looking at a drop of down to that 200, a 26% drop. So we're going to be tracking this closely. We're going to be tracking this closely in our room. If you guys want to come trade with us, definitely join with the join button underneath the video. I'll definitely share any obvious trade setups here on YouTube as well and give you the TA to make your best decisions. But just be aware of this. A lot is riding on this CPI report. Is manipulated as it is, the broader market, the people that control the billions in assets. Remember, Morgan Stanley, if they are correct, 2 out of 3 operators in crypto right now are institutions. If they are happy with the inflation number, inflows will come into the marketplace. You will get a rise to resistance, at which point it would be smart to sell if you start to make a top because you could get a parabolic fall as well. Remember, this is a risk asset. Now, because it is a risk asset as viewed by these large institutions, if those markets turn super bullish, Bitcoin can really hit some targets, right? So that's what we want to do on this channel. Trade up, trade down, stack profits both directions, right? Agnostic to which way the market goes. We just want the best possible outcome for our money. Here in the daily time frame, laying out these GAN fans, you can see how crucial this is for tracking. Resistance, resistance, resistance right here, cross-section of GAN fans, reject it, fell down. You still got demand. When you look at the bigger picture setups, which is base TA, you have your low, the 25,538, your higher low, you have your higher low structure still. You're still making higher lows. When I start to get worried about Bitcoin, and it's pretty obvious here looking at the daily, if you come down and fall through the 1-1 angle on the GAN fan, that's a bearish nature, even though this GAN fan's just for this primary current trend, right? That's bearish. You're also sweeping that last higher low, okay? So this would be very bearish. You could come back up, retest this, and this might be an opportunity where you're looking to short because you're coming back down to new lows here on the daily time frame. But what Bitcoin's doing now is volatility, guys. You can scalp this on smaller time frames, these pumps, these dumps. Again, I'm looking for the swing move. I'm looking for, you have your cup now. You got a cup built here on the daily. I'm looking for this breakout up from this cup pattern, okay? I'm looking for that breakout up to key resistance, hopefully at least 34,798. And looking at the long-term moving averages, this is, which one is this? This is the 200, no, that's the 89s right there. So you still got to flip the 89 coming down to the 1-1 angle. Your 200 and 233 on the daily are higher up. They're closer to the 40,000. This is why this is my key target. When I talk about realistic targets, you look at the daily time frame. The daily time frame is where I gave you that big trade here, 48,266. This was hitting the 200 on the dollar. This was a massive decline of 47%, I think. What was this decline? I don't remember now. Let me go ahead and measure this. This was a big decline all the way down to that base when we talked about this on this channel. That was, 47.47%. So that was a huge decline because this was a long-term moving average in a key time frame. You have to flip these in the smaller time frames, but keep in mind, this is at 40K right now. If we are truly in a bear market, you won't be able to flip these. You don't flip these and move up from these in a bear market. Okay, typically these are your long-term resistance in a bear market because they represent 200 and 233 days of trading average. Okay, so price is traded above, price is traded below. This is a long-term moving average. And as you can see, once you fell below it, you've never flipped it. You came back up to it, retested it. That's why these give you these big trade opportunities, and you have to wait for them. Look how many days passed. After you fell below them, you were down here for a long time until you came back up, flipped to 233, contacted the 200, 47% move. So you can trade all these smaller moves. You can do all this. This is all part of trading, day trading, scalping. But what you're really looking for is the holy grail trades in a primary downtrend market. If you get rejected at the 200 or the 233, which are hovering right at 40K, guys, that's your buy and go, that's your sell and go to the beach signal. Okay, that is when you make a top, just like you did here. You make a double top off of a rejection like this. That is a massive trade. Okay, this money, depending on your trade size, can be extremely profitable. It can be game changing. It can be life changing or portfolio changing, depending on what size assets you're playing with here. But this is just what I'm looking for. Okay, you got to be patient as a swing trader. You're looking for the big rejection moves. This is a clear trade here of the rejection off the 200, the double top that forms, and then the dissension. And then this was just the easiest trade to stay in as it descended down. The biggest problem I had on this trade was greed, right? I see the numbers stack up, and as a trader, I've always suffered from this. When I get to a certain number, I'm like, that's just a lot of money, huge percentage. I'm going to go ahead and take it. And of course, after I did that, it descended even further. Okay, so I'm not a perfect trader. It ended up coming down all the way down to here. I got out up here. It came down all the way from here, and or I took profits up here, I should say, and took profits again. But I missed this final dissension move here, probably the last 15%. So it is what it is, guys. You can't ever get mad at yourself for taking profits. It just depends on what your individual goals are and what your risk appetite is. Why is that doing that? All right. Let's look at the indicators here really quickly. I mean, everything's the same. We're going to skip the daily. Volatility is the same. It's still compressed. Let's go ahead and go to the 8-hour time frame. It's more interesting. 8-hour time frame, obviously getting 3 candles versus 1 daily candle. And then, I mean, you look at what we have here, guys. This setup hasn't changed. RSX, we don't even need that many indicators at this juncture. I can throw the volatility channel back on, but the volatility is compressed. RSX is at the median line. It's just still gearing for a move. You're looking at Ichi here as well. And again, you have the same concept that you have from the daily. You have your low down there. You have your higher low. You have your higher low. Okay, broader higher lows here, but you still have the same concept. You have zero resistance right here to the rise. You're tracking, I mean, incredibly to the Gann fan. If anything should convince you to try out the Gann fan, watch that video from Saturday. It's Bitcoin on the 8-hour chart. The way this is tracking to the Gann fan is just ridiculous how accurate it is. You're tracking along it here. You can see that it's being used as resistance here. It's being used as resistance over here. I mean, it's beautifully tracking. So you have this defined channel here on the Gann fan. You're trying to enter this upwards channel again. You see this? You get into this upwards channel, you have more ability for more uptrend. You fall back down here, your 45 is right there. So you have potential for dissension, and then this cloud will start to turn red as it rotates, and then you're going to have more resistance. But so this is just very clearly defined path for Bitcoin. You're going to have to watch this till Friday. When that number comes out, I mean, I hope it's a clear signal. I hope it's inflation according to the CPI. Again, even though it's BS, I hope it's either inflation coming down, markets rally because the guys on CNBC, on Fox Business, they're so excited. This is proof inflation's coming down as the UN food index hits all-time record highs, fuel hits all-time record highs. As all that stuff happens, they can be excited about the market, which is good because we'll get our pump, okay? Even if it's a pump to resistance, it is still a pump. It is a tradable thing, and I'm looking at trade setups here, but this is the same reason I didn't long here, guys. This is why we didn't talk about longing. We talked about longing over here when we were in this defined trading range. I talked about buying the base here or trading a breakout, right? But over here, here, not as interested because we have defined resistance. The same way we have a defined trading range, we have defined resistance up here, and you're hitting your peaks. And this time we didn't even get up to that Gann level. It just rolled over. Okay, it rolled over and fell down. So it's looking like it's trying to hold this higher low. It needs to come out of here. In Wyckoff, it needs to exit just like this, but it needs to hold the 382. This is the key for the breakout, is getting above the 382 and holding it. Remember, I told you, fully expect retracement at resistance. How you handle the retracement dictates the next turn for the price. You got rejected here at the angle. You got rejected by the Kumo cloud, and you did not hold your support base. You fell through it. You need to come up, and you need to hold the 382, hold this white line, this Wyckoff trading range, hold it. So most likely be above the 382, and then you can do whatever you want. You can accumulate. You can make a cup type pattern. You can start crawling up this 1-2 angle. You will have an entry point once you come up and hold this. You'll be able to give yourself an entry point. But until then, you're just in a highly whipsaw, volatile marketplace, okay? So just keep that in mind. Let's see what else we got here. And I got a lot of caffeine in me, so I'm feeling good today. Let's go ahead and look at the Danshin. That doesn't show me anything different. Let's look at what else is there, guys. Oh, let's look at our Nubia here on the 8 hour. We haven't done that in a while. Let me turn Ichi off. Get that out of the way. Let's look at our VWAP trading strategy. I mean, this is a long-term supply line, and this goes back to, what's the date on that? You have to open it up. Oh, this is, I think, the 1,292 days back. So this goes back a long time. Anyways, this is a long-term supply line, okay, for Bitcoin. So there's 5 different supply points. If you guys, some people were asking me about this. It's called Nubia. You can just type Nubia in. It's a VWAP strategy. It uses anchored points, 1772, 305, and 1292. Is it accurate? I mean, I've been using it, as you guys know, for a couple of months. I find it to be pretty accurate as far as resistances for supply. I mean, look where this is. Look where this is at. I mean, that to me is pretty accurate. With your 200 and 233, it's right here with both of them. So this looks pretty accurate to me. And why everything has some misfire here at the end of the video. This looks pretty accurate to me as an indicator, but you guys can play with it, see if you like it. And you can see your demand lines, which are green. Okay, that's demand. And you can see how it's defined in your trading range. You're above demand, above demand. The thicker the lines, the more demand. The thicker the supply, the more resistance, right? So right in there, married with your 200, 233. Let's go ahead and go to the 4 hour, and we'll wrap this up. 4 hour time frame. Let's look at this. 4 hour time frame. I mean, it looks very similar to the 8 hour. You know, we had our kiss of death, the 200 moving average on the 4 hour. Now we got above it, and again, found resistance. Remember our current trend wave that we plotted out here? The current trend wave, the trend-based fib, plotted that out, and very accurate. We got up to the 0.5, got above it, made a failure here, got some supply dumped on us, and rolled over, got that big dump. But again, this looks dramatic when you're just looking at Bitcoin on your phone, right? But when you look at the larger 4 hour structure, it's the same as the daily, it's the same as the 8 hour. Your low, your higher low, still holding your higher low. You found support at the bottom of the Kumo cloud, okay? Again, tracking right up that Gann fan line, found support at the bottom of the Kumo cloud, and again getting rejected by that Gann fan line. So we're in the top of this channel. Where you start getting worried is if you do come down to test the bottom of the channel, which is your 1-1 angle. Again, you need to stay above the 45. Okay, so that's it, guys. Tomorrow we'll update you again, and we'll see what's happening, if anything's different with Bitcoin. And definitely, I mean, Friday is going to be an interesting day. That comes out in the morning, so I probably won't. I'll have a video out after that, especially if the markets react. We'll go ahead and see if we start pumping or dumping. I'll do a quick video, and we'll look at where our targets are for support and resistance. But pay attention, Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. That is when the CPI report comes out. The street is expecting 8.2. That's their target. Comes in above that, we have to see how the market reacts. It could dump. If it comes in a lot above it, like 8.3, 8.4, 8.5, you could definitely see a big, strong dump in the market. If it comes in below it, if it comes in at 8.0, you could see a very strong rally. If it comes in at 8.2 or 8.3, which I believe the last CPI was, I don't know. It's a coin toss. It could just be volatility. You could see a pump up and then a dump again, but still holding bullish structure. You could see a sell-off and then a pump back up to where you were. So again, these aren't things you can predict because nobody knows what the number is going to be. So we just have to see how it plays out. All right, guys, that's it. Check out BitGet as well. Forgot to mention that. Link in the video description. description where I trade all these cryptos, guys. No VPN, and you only need an email. Talk to you guys tomorrow. This video got long. My bad. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Happy trading.